Hi, everyone. Ashley Mailloux, Scott Shapiro here, taking a look at another graded stakes race at Kentucky Downs this Saturday. We're going to focus in here on race number 11. It's the Grade 3 Kentucky Downs Ladies Turf Stakes. It's a mile. Before we dive into this field, Scott, just want to mention to our viewers a couple of promos going on right now at DRF. And first off, this race is on Saturday. It's Labor Day weekend. And in terms of what we have as an offer, 15% off in the DRF store. You can use the code LBD 15 off. This can be applied to past performances, handicapping products, and more. It's a great way to save money. And another offer we have to save you a little bit of dough, you can spend a little bit more on your wagers, is a package for Kentucky Downs. They only race 7 days. This is a combined 7-card Kentucky Downs package. They'll give you access to the past performances and more, only $20 total. So nice little promotions there for us, kind of getting our handicapping on for the weekend. It's a long weekend, as we call it, but it's a long weekend of racing as well. And as we look at the stakes race, Scott, it's an interesting group of fillies and mares. You have some faces that are maybe new ones. They're going to have to tackle something different. And I think there are also fillies and mares in here that have gotten better. They've had sort of stellar years in 2025 and maybe are the developing types. They've taken a little bit to bloom.
Yeah, they're getting big shots in here, the $2 million purse, as well as the potential grade 3 black type. So understandable for like all these races, actually, why so many of them show up. 11 for this one. And the plot will, the projector will tell us the story, right?
Yeah, we'll take a look at that story with the Timeform US pace projection. And mentioned in the other preview, just always look at the configuration at Kentucky Downs. It's very different. Horses sometimes love it or they hate it. And in terms of pace, though, our friends at Timeform showing that the 9 Charlene's Dream, she could be forward, as well as the fillies towards the inside in our time and special one. And she was kind of the one I was alluding to, Scott, in terms of blossoming. It's really been Charlene Dream's year. We're just kind of living in it since her win in the Gallery at Pimlico. Now she's a grade 2 winner as she took the Beverly D. She's going to be forward, and that's maybe an interesting topic of conversation, knowing that she's coming out of races that they're going longer.
That's a great point. You know, it looks obvious when you look quite quick at the past performances that Charlene's Dream will be on the lead here, setting the pace. But you mentioned a mile and 3/16 the Beverly D. Prior to that, a mile and an eighth, mile 16th. That's a little bit of a difference. You know, we'll see how the course ends up playing in this as well. But in our times along the inside, it has plenty of early speed as well. I wouldn't be one bit surprised if it was the one on the lead with the 9 kind of pressing.
Speaking of the one, let's kick it off here with In Our Time for Safi Joseph Jr. She participated in one of the 2 divisions for the Della Rose. She came up a little bit short. Deep Satin beat her. A horse that, you know, we alluded to it. She pretty much has one way of going. She has to be forward in here to sort of have something to say at the end of it.
That's exactly right. And the problem is it's very unlikely she's going to have things all that easy for her. So she's moving up in class and not likely to get the trip that she wants. Not necessarily the recipe for success, or at least horses that I want to bet. But, you know, we've seen the inside speed be good on days at Kentucky Downs, and that would make her dangerous.
The 2 special one up next, this one for Brendan Walsh. A mare who has just been so consistent in her career. We'll take a look at one of her performances. And in terms of this performance, she started in a grade 1 out at Saratoga in early June. And, you know, I would have liked to seen a little bit more, but I actually thought she held her own. You have to realize who finishes in front of her. Dynamic pricing, Excellent Truth, who comes back to win next time out. Maybe I'm being a little critical of her. I mean, it's still a very good effort.
I think that's the key, is the class here. You know, I think it would have looked a lot better if she was facing probably grade 3 type company like she faces today. No knocks on this field, but, you know, Excellent Truth came back to win her next race in there. Dynamic Pricing was a Chad Brown that won the race with a career best effort. So I think the drop in class is going to be real beneficial for her, as well as the inside draw.
The 3 Cheshire Dancer here for Hugo Palmer, a fresh face to racing over here. Obviously, go through the past performances. Been racing in Europe, comes in here off a Group 3 win, where this one ends up winning quite well. Gets the lead late in there, is able to hold on. I think in terms of recent work, I think she's a better 4-year-old than she was a 3-year-old, and always a little afraid of the European horses coming over, especially on this turf course. But I think she's well placed, and it's still going to be, I think, a bump up for her in terms of class. We talk about a Group 3. This is a grade 3. Purse money's a lot, though, Scott. That's what we have to kind of remind ourselves of. It's $2 million. This isn't necessarily going to be easy for her, but I think it's a good spot.
That's the one thing I noticed. I don't know a ton about this 4-year-old filly. I know the trainer hasn't started a horse since the Breeders' Cup, so this is new terrain. I don't think Hugo Palmer has started a horse at Kentucky Downs, at least over the last 5 years. I do like that she gets a full month rest. She's kind of been firing more often than that, and she should be fully rested. No works, but obviously these fillies coming over from Europe with success, can come rolling late.
The 4 Neon Beach, if you go to 2024 as a 3-year-old, they were really gung-ho about racing around the dirt. She had some big efforts, and you look at the races that they used down at Oaklawn, this was maybe thinking a Kentucky Oaks filly, and they've regrouped her. And her turf races, I mean, look at her. She's got 3 wins on dirt, 3 wins on turf, and 2 of them are in her last starts. Now, different ball game coming out of Lone Star, but one of them was a stakes win. I wonder if they used the effort after that just as a spacing and kind of prepping for other things. And those races weren't that far apart. And once again, she was able to win. There wasn't a progression, though, in the figures.
No, it looks like she's just been beating up on lesser competition than she's faced in here. But if they go fast, she does relax, but she gets out of the gate well. So she could find herself in a pretty favorable mid-pack position. Kind of was curious if it was the Lasix, the turf. Maybe we're going to find out today. I mean, her best efforts have been on the turf, but they've all had Lasix involved.
The 5 Sugesta, we'll take a look at her most recent performance at Monmouth Park. It was in the matchmaker. She's going to win. She's going to hold on. And who does she hold off? Sacred Wish, who she has to tackle again. And I thought it was a good effort. I'm really curious about her on this sort of configuration, cutting back to a mile, because you can see mile and an eighth out of 2 of her last 3 starts. And she didn't perform well in the race that Special won, was the 3rd place finisher. But I think a win like that, she did what she needed to do. She probably gained some confidence.
That's true. That's a very good point. She gains confidence, and her rider is coming in with as much confidence as anyone. I do think that she proved that she was a cut below even the Special Wands of the world, at least over that yielding turf course in the Just the Game. And maybe the mile is going to be a little sharp, but Irad's won a lot of races this summer that I didn't expect him to win.
That is true. The 6 Lady Ilzy up next in here, a Group 2 winner, 2 starts back, more recently against great Group 1, competition at Newmarket in the Falmouth. Finished 5th best in there, and it was a huge price. And I think you got to look a little bit into the winner, Cinderella's Dream. We have had the pleasure of seeing here stateside, has been extremely competitive and tough in those races. And you go back to Del Mar last year, was second in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf. So I think that little, that speaks to what the 6 has been facing in her most recent start. And have to think, she's got a big shot in here. The one thing is, though, she's a 3-year-old filly. She's going to tackle some more seasoned types here.
Lack of experience is the major question, just the one win in her career. But she certainly will be running after, I would presume. Last time I went back and watched the Tattersall's Falmouth, and this horse was way out the back. And I would presume that it's going to be the same story coming into the States. I wouldn't expect her to break well. She's going to be passing, not to knock the field again, but less classier fillies in that case than she was that day. But man, this is a lot to ask. A new country, a new course with just 3 starts and 1 win, but she's got to have some sort of talent to be in that last field.
Absolutely. And the fact that she raced 6-ish weeks ago, maybe 7. So it's not that easy of a task, to say the least. We'll move to the 7 Sacred Wish, who we saw was the runner-up behind Sugesta in the Grade 3 matchmaker. She shows up. It's just that I start to look at her resume a little bit, and not to be too critical, a lot of seconds. She's a major player, I think, in terms of the exotics, a little tougher to use as a win candidate. But her last win, Grade 1 competition, the Matrix, out at Del Mar. She can fire her best race. She can, be competitive here. I see her as a minor, and I think she's going to get that mid-pack trip.
Yeah, she's a good underneath type, maybe even key or use for sure. I definitely have noticed those seconds for a little while, and she has not made me forget about them. I think I could maybe give her the edge for sure over Suggesta, maybe, and for sure. That's not really good English, but I could give her the edge over Suggesta, because I thought Suggesta had the better trip last time out getting the jump. They went 50 flat. I think she wants to come a little bit further out of it off this little bit of a hotter pace. So I think Sacred Wish will probably run pretty well in this race.
The 8 Landed will move to next. This one for Wesley Ward, Lael Stables, yet to try turf in the career. This is the daughter of Omaha Beach, and she wasn't in the top 4 in the Timeform US pace projection. And I struggle with this a little bit because I understand she has been on the lead when they've gone a mile and an eighth and they've gone 50 and 2 to the half, but she's also been on the lead when they've gone 46 and 2 or go further down the page. I mean, she's been really close to it when they've gone 44 and 4 over a muddy track. I know it's dirt. I still have to think she's pretty close to the action early. And turf's a big question mark, but she does have those bullet drills over it.
I agree, and a lot of it has to do with just how well she gets out of the gate, even if she isn't
Mhm.
super fast. I mean, I doubt Junior's going to just take a major hold of her. This is a half to Venti Valentine, who won over 1 million, was just 0 for 1 on the turf. A half to Espresso Shot, who earned 516K, no success over the turf. If you're looking for a positive here for a 20-1 shot, Wesley Ward is 4 for 13 with first time turf runners, excluding first time starters at Kentucky Downs for a 277 ROI. I wanted to find something positive.
There you go. Nice stat there. The number 9, Charlene's Dream, we saw could be part of the pace. It's a little interesting to look at the Beverly D, and I felt like she made the lead pretty easy. Knowing Be Your Best was in there, I didn't think it was going to be that easy for her, but she ended up just doing what she needed to, and we've already talked about it. I just feel like she's figuring out what she needs to do. Now the question is, can she kind of take that form and apply it to the cutback to a mile?
Generally speaking, short-ish prices horses that are speed horses cutting back and have had easy leads, I think are good fades from like a macro level because they just have to work harder, even if it doesn't look like they might. But she's in really good form. But you mentioned it's her year before, and her trainer is having a career year as well. Ed Moder Jr., who I know, don't know personally, but from California all these years. But he's having a great year in Kentucky. A lot of the reason is because of this filly. I still side against her slightly, just with the fact that I don't think she's going to have it easy on the front end, going as slow as she has been in her recent wire wins.
A thorn in her side in some ways is the horse directly to her outside, the 10 at Pin Up Betty, who you can see finished in front of her 2 starts back in the grade 3 Mint Julep. But, her recent form, not that she had bad form, but I actually feel like her last 3, she's really come into herself. She was second 3 starts back behind a filly that I really respect, Simply in Front. And then more recently, back-to-back wins. And I know she's got to step up the class level once again, get back into the graded waters. But I think this is a good spot for her. Her one, I guess, knock and blemish in terms of what I've seen is I see the Kentucky Downs race, and I don't know what to make out of it. I don't want to count it against her since it was just one start, Scott, but it's a weird configuration.
Yeah, and I think she definitely likes it at Churchill Downs to the most recent successes. That last race, the Anchorage, she looked like she couldn't really lose on paper, and it was kind of a grind. I think she's kind of a grinder overall. I think a positive to me is that it looks like Maker gave her time after that race to point to this spot, knowing the purse and knowing it would be a favorable spot. But another one that I kind of side against that expecting maybe to take a little more than the 8-1.
And then rounding out the field here is the 11 Moving On Up, another one for Safi Joseph Jr., who, she participated in I guess, the other division of the Della Rose. We'll take a look at that now. Ozara, the winner, came back to win her next outing. And in terms of her performance, she runs well here in the stretch. I'm not going to say, though, that this was an amazing performance from her.
No, and she encountered a little bit of traffic, but she wasn't beating the winner that day. And she's been the recipient of really good trips. If you look back at those races at Gulfstream Park, she got dream runs under Edgar Zayas. It's going to be hard to get similar dream trip here from way outside, but she's honest and she could come with a solid run from like a pretty good stalking mid-pack trip.
That's the field of 11 for the grade 3 Kentucky Downs Ladies Turf Stakes. We'll move to our top selections in here. And we've been talking about it. It's a really competitive program. We see a little bit more overlap in this preview than our other preview that we tackled, Scott. But you'll use my second choice in here, the number 2 Special One, who we did look at the replay. She did run well when you kind of assess the level of competition that she faced.
That's it. I think she just took on better fillies and mares that day in the just the game. I think she's going to get the right trip here. And Joel Rosario, one of the riders that kind of knows the Kentucky Downs configuration pretty well, even though he doesn't ride in Kentucky year round.
There's a pair of Euro Invaders. I'll go with the 3. They're the 3 and the 6 in this field. I thought she's a little bit more foundation than the other filly. Maybe she gets a better trip, but she'll need to step it up here. This is still a step up in class for her. And now she has to also overcome shipping, where you look at the last time she raced, you're just over a month in between starts. A lot to ask for this one. So 2, 7, 6, 10 for Scott. 3-2-5-10 for me. It's race 11 this Saturday at Kentucky Downs. Good luck.